What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Viall Files.
Yeah.
Hope you're enjoying your Monday.
People are liking these asknick episodes.
Are they?
Yeah.
I stopped paying attention. Are we getting more and more listeners?
I think so.
Great. Well, thanks, guys. Hopefully we don't fuck it up going forward. It's a lot of pressure.
Do you feel a lot of pressure?
Sometimes. Do you feel pressure ever? I mean, for me and my personality, when I'm passionate about something, I enjoy it. I want to protect it more, and I do have that tendency, the squeeze of things
until it's dead,
until I kill it. And so, yeah, I do. I've quite honestly, I've enjoyed this show and Viall Files, and it's been fun to grow, and I really appreciate our audience listening. And it's I was in New York not too long ago, and I was actually switching hotels, and I really love when I'm in New York the subway. I really do.
Okay.
I feel like a New Yorker. It's also a more efficient way. It's more affordable. It's faster.
Right. Yeah.
But I had like my full suitcase. I'm like, fuck it. I'll just take the subway. Sometimes if I'm like have a suitcase, I'll Uber because it's like,
right. Yeah.
I have the suitcase. And anyways, I was like struggling getting through my suitcase through the gate. And as I'm there, there's this girl walked up, took her headphones out, and she's like, I'm literally listening to your podcast right now.
Oh my God.
And it was a nice feeling.
That's
it was
so
like,
cute.
it was fun, neat and cool. And there's plenty of people who come up and mention that they listen to the podcast and enjoy it. And I do like that. And
That's
it's
really
fun
cute.
and exciting. And it's been a fun show. So I want to make sure that we continue to deliver high quality content for the people listening.
I will tell everyone Nick came in today and winked at me and said, see me on Family Guy.
Yeah. Did I wink?
You did.
Was it sexual?
No, it was like, I'm cool.
I felt very cool.
You do.
I'm on Family Guy.
What was it like recording for it?
It was much fast. It was very, very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was like I had a few lines.
Did you meet Seth MacFarlane?
I did not meet Seth MacFarlane.
Bummer.
Or Bryan Cranston, who was in the scene with me.
Oh, bummer.
So I didn't even know he was going to be in it with me until
so that's exciting.
Until I saw it. But I could still say I was in a scene with Bryan Cranston.
I guess you can.
I had a few lines, went in there.
Yeah.
We read it a bunch of different times and hung out, and it was just a fun time. But
has any other Bachelor person been on?
No.
Oh.
No, nor why.
Well, Corinne's kind of been on. You mentioned
because
her.
I mentioned her name and Vanessa. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Vanessa.
But I am a cartoon character.
That's so cool.
Cartoon character on Family Guy. It was a lot of fun.
Did you like how they depicted you?
Sure. I don't know. The guy with the beard. Could have been Nick S.,
Yeah, it could have been a lot of people.
Could have been a lot of people, but still, it was me.
You were at Dancing with the Stars last night. I saw on Instagram.
I was with my good friend Demi and Rumor.
Did Demi invite you? Or did Hannah?
Well, I was in Hannah's group.
Oh, nice.
As far as Hannah's fan base, who's killing it.
Yeah.
Really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of fun.
What?
BetterHelp.
I know. Speaking of getting help from asknick, you got to get help from the therapist as well.
You do. After you listen to our nonsense.
Yes.
It is great. I mean, it's the hardest part about seeking professional help and getting mental health is kind of that barrier to access of like finding the doctor or taking the trip or whatever.
It feels so daunting sometimes.
To me, I think that's the hardest part.
I agree.
And here you have such an accessible way to get great professional mental health help.
Online.
That you can get a questionnaire to fill out your needs. It's safe. It's private. It's can be very helpful.
You can do it via text, chat, phone, and video.
Whatever way you're most comfortable with.
Get started in under 24 hours.
I mean, it's worth a shot once. If you've ever thought about getting mental health help and you want to just talk to anyone, there's literally no downside for just trying it out and see if it's for you. And if it's not, that's fine.
Totally.
But you basically, instead of, going on your phone and refreshing your Twitter, you maybe had a productive mental health session with someone who doesn't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
After you've listened to our episode. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. Viall File listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code VIALL. So why not get started today?
Mm-hmm.
Go to betterhelp.com/Viall. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/VIALL. Bombas socks.
My favorite socks in the world.
It really doesn't matter if you are wearing socks on a hot, sunny day. They will breathe. If you're cold in your chilled, over air conditioning office, they will keep you insulated and warm. They work extra hard for you.
But for this winter, they have a new line of merino wool socks that are made from soft, warm, and naturally moisture-wicking merino wool.
Yeah, they will wick away, but you won't feel soggy feet still. Warm, but not wet.
Gross. Gross.
Yeah.
But no one tell my dad, but this is what I'm buying him for Christmas. Bombas
All right,
socks.
plug your ears, Dad.
There's no way he's listening to this.
I'm offended. Well, and you also have just a bunch of different styles.
Colors are so cute.
Wide variety of fashion choices
Yeah.
that comes your Bombas socks. Well, buy your Bombas socks at bombas.com/VIALL today and get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/VIALL for 20% off. BOMBAS.com/VIALL.
Get those socks for your winter boots. Do you have any more things to dish about Dancing with the Stars? Sorry, I just like when you talk about
I had a chance to meet Demi Lovato. And
You did?
yeah, she was part of Hannah's group. She's a Hannah stan. Very lovely, very nice person.
Is she dating Mike?
I didn't ask her
you
or
didn't
talk
ask
to her
her?
about that. We were watching Dancing with the Stars.
Yes,
and there
yes,
was
yes.
more comment about the dancers, but in the very short, brief interaction I had with her, what a lovely person.
Yeah.
Really
He's awesome.
great energy.
Big Bachelor fan.
Yeah, great. She just had really fun energy.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's always funny when you meet people. There was another celebrity there that I have been a fan of, and I didn't talk with her, and I didn't interact. But I won't even bring them up. But it was like their presence across seemed surprisingly different. They were more demure and reserved, and they seemed like such a bubbly person in their public life.
Yes.
That was my presumption. Not good or bad, just different.
Yeah.
And Demi Lovato was a delightfully fun, just
Normal.
very welcoming person.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
lovely. Had a lot of fun.
Did you go out after?
We did. We went salsa dancing. Me, Rumor, Demi, Hannah showed up, and a bunch of the Dancing with the Stars cast. We went salsa dancing.
Oh my gosh, that's so
A
fun.
lot of fun.
Aw.
I had a great time.
Living your best life, Nick.
Yeah, I really am. It's it's really going great. I'm doing fine. Well, let's get to these questions.
Yeah.
I think you will enjoy them.
Yeah.
Again, don't forget to send in your questions at asknick@castmedia.com.
Yeah.
With a K.
We talked to a swinger today.
We talked to a swinger.
Mm-hmm. That was a highlight for me.
You're really into this.
I don't know. I just like learning about things.
Do you think you could be into it?
Never. I could never, ever.
I don't believe you.
No, I get too jealous. If I'm into someone, I'm into
Okay.
them.
So
I don't need extra. I'm fine with the meal. I don't need the sides.
it's a day full of analogies. All right. Well, here we go. Honey. Listen. Honey.
Listen, honey.
Yeah.
Honey,
Well-
there's no reason not to get honey.
There is no reason not to get honey. Well, have you ever bought something online and then find out there is a subscription code out there that you didn't use?
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
All the time.
Yep.
I'll tell you what. Natural Habits has a bunch of subscriptions codes that are active,
Yeah.
and you could have saved money. Well, honey would have helped you save.
Yeah, it's a free browser extension you can download on your computer. Automatically looks for those codes.
So basically, there's no reason not to do
There's
it.
no reason not to do
You
it.
will 100% save money if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy anything ever online and you use honey, you will at some point save money.
And it feels so good when you get that code.
It's like you're cheating.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. It's like you're stealing money, but it's legal. It's wild. Well, you should get it, and it's amazing. So listen, there's really no reason not to use honey. It's free to use and installs on your computer in just 2 clicks.
I saved $15 on a Herschel backpack.
Boom. Get honey for free at joinhoney.com/VIALL. That's asknick.com/VIALL.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. What's your name?
My name's Rebecca, and I'm 26 years old.
Rebecca, 26 years old. Mm-hmm. How can we help you, Rebecca?
So I've been friends with this guy for about a year now, and it's really good. We get along super well. So it's just kind of getting to the point now where I'm like, okay, we're very compatible. Is this someone I want to date? Every time it kind of gets close to that, I guess, push away and have all these reservations. And then,
so when you say you're friends, you're not really friends. You're like, what do you mean friends?
Well, we hang out a lot, sometimes by ourselves, sometimes in group settings. He's just someone I can go to for advice. We talk a lot about everything.
So when you say you can go to him for advice, do you go to him for advice about other boys you're interested in?
Yeah, sometimes I have.
Okay.
I mean, he usually gives me advice. I don't think he likes to, but he does. He's just a really good friend. He's always been there for me.
It sounds like this friend has expressed to you that he wants to maybe date?
He has, yeah. In the beginning, when we first became friends, he did, and I kind of said, no, I'm not ready. And then just throughout our friendship, he has, and I always said, no, like, I just don't see it. And I've always been really honest with him. And then I started seeing other guys here and there. Always went back to him, though. I think everything about him I really like. But I don't know why I can't date him. I don't know. I thought about it a lot, and I wish I could, but I just have all these reservations. I don't know why.
I have guys like this in my life too. That's why I picked this question.
What do you mean? You have a bunch of guys
that are great.
They're great.
And I'm like, oh.
Are you sexually attracted to him?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I find him attractive, but we've never been physical. We've never, I don't know. Some of my friends are just like, well, just go for it. Just try it. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I literally can't. Like, it just freaks me out. I don't have that problem with anybody else, but with him, it scares me so much. I don't know why.
If you were to, when you first met him, like, what was the thought? Was it just like, oh, here's some guy I'm not interested in? Or was it like, oh, that's a cute guy, and then you just kind of became friends?
We actually met through my ex. He was friends with my ex.
Okay.
So when I first met him, it wasn't really a thought in my head. And then when my ex and I broke up, then we kind of just became friends. And I've always thought he was fun and attractive, but I never really started a friendship with the idea of dating him. That was just never the plan or a thought in my head.
And at this point, you're just kind of like, do you feel as though he is at the end of his rope, so to speak? Like, what's the urgency that you're having right now about figuring it out?
Oh, I just feel like I'm wasting both of our times just because I'm so back and forth in my head. And I think I don't want to lead him on. And at this point, I feel like by being his friend, it's almost like leading him on in a way, because.
How old is he?
He's 26, same age as me.
So same age. Have you guys hooked up?
Yeah. No, never. Like, nothing.
No kissing or anything?
No, okay. No. Like, I think a hug at the most.
And so you just want to know, you want me to tell you what to do or something?
Yeah. Like, I feel like I don't know, at this point, after a year, if there's nothing, is it time to just move on and, like, and I feel like if we do date, it will either ruin our friendship if it doesn't work out, or it will just go really, really well.
Well, I think first you should start being honest with yourself about this isn't like a friend, like this isn't the type of friendship that you have, like I'm sure other friends in your life that, you know, through thick or thin, you're going to be there for each other. Like this is a relationship and it's certainly a friendship, but I feel like you're trying to preserve a friendship that most likely is going to fade one way or the other. And it's going to end either, you know, if it does end, if you don't date, most likely, it's most likely going to end because either you or him or both are going to meet other people, and then the needs that you fill in each other's lives will no longer be required. Rochelle, I got a question like, for you. Like, when this comes up for you? I mean,
I guess it's like I'm like, okay, I've been single for so long. There's nice guys that like me, but I don't like them. I'm like, am I like,
what is it though? I mean, I guess I have it in my life. For me, it's very much a physical, like I haven't been in a situation that you two have been in since like early off the bat. If I meet someone and I find them cool and fun to hang out with, and it's just for whatever reason not there, it's just, there's no confusion on my part. It's just there's a friend zone situation.
Yeah.
I've dated women where we've been intimate and then it didn't work out, and then we reconnected just as friends, and it's and again, but there's no confusion. I've never been in the situation where like, well, should I date them? I've never had that before.
I wonder if that's because you have so many other options. I don't know.
You make it.
I don't know.
Rebecca, you have options.
Yeah. Well, and I've gone out with other guys during the year, and then I always end it and go back to my friends. So I'm just like, is there something more that I'm like always drawn back to him? I mean,
that's something you need to figure out, right? I mean, I guess you just need to be careful in trying to figure out, is this someone that I really want to date and have that passion and chemistry with, and that whatever it is that you're looking for, does he have it? Or am I just very comfortable with him and safe, and he's always there, and then when I go and try to find something better than him and I don't, then he's always kind of conveniently waiting for me.
Yeah.
And he just might be your best, not say best option, but he might be a great guy and a great boyfriend. The point, I guess what I'm trying to say is, listen, the only answer I have for you is like, you just need to make a decision. I think you should not try to preserve a friendship that ultimately is going to end, most likely is my guess, assuming you guys don't connect romantically. He wants to date you. He likes you. He's got feelings for you. As friends, you guys are filling roles with each other. Kind of like to your point when you said, well, I'll date this other guy and it won't work out, and then I'll go back to the other friend. Again, when you say that, like if it was, you know, simultaneously, like you could date this guy but still do whatever it is you went with this guy, and maybe you, I'm sure, hang out with it and talk to him. But I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that when you have another guy in your life, the amount of time you spend with the friend decreases. And when you remove that person from your life, it kind of increases and it goes back. So you're basically filling you're filling voids, you're filling time, the companionship of that you have, minus the sex, right? Because in a dating relationship, you certainly have a physical relationship with the person you're dating, most likely. But that's a small part of a relationship, you know? So the movies and going out and hanging out and talking and giving coffee and dinner and all these other things, it's having something to do with someone. He's filling that role. And so that's where you are being selfish in a sense, because you are kind of hanging on to that thing. It's not the end of the day, end of the world. We all do that, but don't hold on to something and save something that's not there. So if you want to figure it out, then you should date him.
Is she preventing him from finding someone?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's also an adult too. They haven't had a physical relationship. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Maybe you're holding back in terms of, I hope what you're not doing is being jealous and kind of being passive aggressive to him if he starts hanging out with other women and making him feel bad about that. I hope you're not doing that.
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
I want him to be happy for sure. And I've always said, like, if you find someone else, then, like, you know, you're going to spend more time with them. I get it. And, it's just kind of like, if there hasn't been any physical connection in a year, like, is there still hope for that? Like, could that come still? I don't know. Like, I feel like
I mean,
it's either there or it's not.
I mean, I can't tell. Are you not remotely physically attracted to him, but you just think he's a nice guy?
Like, I think he's attractive and I love like being around him, but I just like can't imagine going to the next, like, getting physical. I don't know.
In what way? Did you feel the same way, Rochelle?
Yeah.
And I guess here's where my confusion is, because I can relate to that feeling, but
Right.
that
But
feeling, I know off the bat, I'm just like, they're beautiful women. I'm just
Right.
not there. I don't want to have the physical chemistry. There's no confusion. I guess I can't tell with you two is if
maybe we've been watching too many rom-coms where it's like, he's been right in front of me the whole time. Like Blake did with Christina, where you're like, you're here.
And that was really awkward and creepy. Do you find him, like, do you think there's a place where you could like want to find him sexy and attractive and rip his clothes off and, and vice versa?
I don't know.
I mean, I honestly don't know if that's different with women. If you guys can, guys seem to be more black and
I feel
white.
like it's more mental with women. It's more of a, I don't know. It's in our head almost.
Listen, I don't have, like, my only advice really is don't make excuses and waste a lot of time again trying to protect a friendship this is a friendship. Assuming you guys don't date romantically and get married and have kids, this guy will eventually not be in your life. I can confidently say that. You're going to meet someone, he's going to meet someone, you'll just fade away. This is not your like elementary school friend that you're your best pals. You guys are kind of using each other for that companionship. So figure it out. But maybe you are at the point, or don't. I mean, if as long as you're on the same page, if you have been honest with him about like, I don't want this, and you do talk to him about other guys, and you don't confuse him, and you don't lead him on, and he's willing to hang out with you, you guys can kind of keep doing what you're doing until you meet other people. That's an option. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, my guess is maybe you're just like, kind of like Rochelle. It's, you're maybe a little bored and lonely, and he seems like a pretty nice guy, and he's like, you're there, so why don't I just date you? If it's going to work, you kind of have to go for it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, don't second guess if you don't have the feelings.
If you don't have the feelings, and if you think maybe there's something there, I mean, everyone's different. We do have a way of pushing people away. I guess what I'm saying, this is not going to like change overnight. You're not going to wake up one day and like in a rom-com way, see him in a different light. You're going to have to say, you know what, let's go for it. But just so you know, like, if it doesn't work out, it's going to change things, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so kind of just go for it and, ask them out or, make out with them. It might be a little awkward. And that's the thing. If you do go for it, there's going to be some awkwardness at first, He's going to be nervous and he's not going to know what to do. And you're going to be nervous. And maybe you guys need to get drunk and have some sex. I don't know. But at the same time, don't get, think about, are you getting anxious? Are you getting bored? Again, you're not hanging out with him as much when you have other guys in your life. And so if you are just doing that because he's the one constant, and also keep in mind, he also is kind of, it seems like maybe, I'm sure he's a great guy, but he might seem almost slightly better because there are no stakes, right? Because he has the ability to just be the friend and he's always available and he's just kind of like, yeah, when you're done hanging out with another guy, I'm here. And it seems really nice and sweet. That might change when he feels a little bit more in control. Because right now he has no control. If you were to eventually date, I guess is what I'm saying, and then all of a sudden you're on an even playing field. He's like, oh, this is my girlfriend, and you're my boyfriend. All of a sudden, like, you might see different sides. I'm not saying he's like going to be a bad guy, but like you won't really know that until you figure it out. So yeah, kind of like, are you physically attracted to him? Like, do you want to be with him? If not, that's okay. Just because he's a nice guy doesn't mean he's your guy or that you should date him. And you are only 26. Yeah, I get it. And like there are women in my life who I've thought to myself, even like women I think are physically attractive, or I've had relationships with, and I'll be less like, what the fuck is my problem?
What's wrong with me? Yeah, that's what I always think. What's wrong with me?
And maybe there is a little bit of, again, when people settle, they settle for different reasons. I mean, when I say, I don't mean settle like you're, but like settle down,
Yeah.
Sometimes we can be too picky, and sometimes we are looking for too perfect, and we're looking for that kind of rom-com type of relationship. I mean, maybe, quality companionship and the ability to spend time with someone is of value, that's something we shouldn't discount. So, but you can't control who you are attracted to, and who you really has a magnetic attraction to. Sometimes that magnetic attraction is ultimately like combustible, and it's really fun at first, and it explodes in your face after like a couple of weeks.
You don't know anything about that.
I don't know anything about that, but that is all our journey, right? But so you'll have to figure that out, and I guess my advice: take some risks, figure it out, or keep doing what you're doing, but then accept that it is. Accept what it is, right? Then just be like, we're going to be friends until we're not. But this whole like, well, I don't want to sacrifice this friendship. This is a very temporary friendship. It could be a year from now. It could be 4 years from now. Yeah. But eventually it'll end. So hopefully that was helpful.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
That's
just be upfront with them. Don't be confusing.
For sure.
Don't lead them on. Don't be passive aggressive. No. Don't be jealous. These are all things that we sometimes tend to do when we're in these kind of awkward relationships. My advice to him, if he were listening, is he should really actively try to meet someone else. And because the truth is, you may never really know how you feel until you don't have them anymore. And that's kind of
classic.
I don't know. I mean, part of me says go for it. I honestly truly can't get a read on you, and if you aren't physically attracted, or you just got so used to calling him your friend. I don't really know, but
get drunk and make out and then call us back.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it so
good.
like, I mean, it's tough. You can make out with him. I mean, I don't know how obsessed he is with you, but it's not that weird to make out with someone that's you find fairly attractive,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Look, she's like grossed out even thinking about it.
Are you picturing him naked right now?
No.
I mean, I don't know. This might be aggressive, but like next time you have fun with yourself, think about him and see what that's like. I mean, I don't know. You seem to have this like mental roadblock of physicality. Yeah. But that's something. Mm-hmm. Then don't discount that. Like, don't be like, well, I guess he's nice, so I guess I should date him.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right.
Guys.
Best of luck.
Bye.
Bye.
So you're never tempted, like with your friends, you're never like, oh, we get along. We're so great together.
There are definitely some women in my life where it's just like, why?
Yeah, right.
Fuck it, And the truth is,
even I feel like that about you.
Some of these women are beautiful.
Successful.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, listen, that is it's a hard one. There's no concrete answer. There's no like, I like a guy, but I don't know. I mean, it is harder for me to answer because that kind of is my dating life.
Yeah. You don't struggle with it as much as like.
Well, I guess yes. I don't spend a lot of time being like, well, I guess maybe should I or not. I just. I don't really kind of muddle those waters. Yeah, for the women that have been intimate with and then we just became friends, there's like definitely a definitive line drawn. And there's
smart.
we don't even, it's not like we go to the movies and hold hands.
Right.
Like there's none of that.
Simplify your life, man.
They're just friends.
Yeah.
And so, if I have friends that like, we become friends and then we haven't hooked up and there's early sexual tension, I'm pretty good about like dismissing that.
Yeah.
Or not dismissing it, but shutting it down.
Yeah.
But sometimes they are these these people where I'm just like, well, what is my problem? 'Cause it's definitely me.
Perfect woman.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess we'll never know.
Times have changed. I think it is because that's the downside of technology and our culture of having these options. I think you felt different. I think everyone felt differently before.
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's pros and cons to it. I mean, definitely people got married years ago because of like proximity. Can I talk? Proximity? Is it proximity?
Yeah, proximity.
And time. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, I'm 23 and you're here. Mm-hmm. So let's get married. Mm-hmm. And then like at 29, we're like, we're two different people and I hate you.
Right.
Sometimes, and now people are like, well, I'm 23 and you seem fine and I'm going to wait to get married.
Right.
And then you kind of become a different person and then you settle down and that person might have a chance to be a better match. It can vary, but then you can get a little more like, well, you're nice and you're cool. And I don't know if I could take a little bit from each of you and that would be great. And then you're fucked.
You want to concoct your ideal woman in the lab?
I think we all are trying to make that boyfriend or girlfriend perfect cocktail. Aren't we all? Alrighty. What is up? How can we help you?
Hi, my name's Alex. I am 27 years old. And about 2 years ago, I made the decision and I started swinging. And when I did that, I was a single woman. So it was a lot of me meeting couples or other single men in the lifestyle for pretty much just sex. And I eventually met a guy and we had a really great connection and we dated for about 8 months in the lifestyle. So for me, that kind of looks like sexual non-monogamy. We don't date other people. We don't have like emotions or connections with other people. We just sleep with other people. We broke up. We dated for about 9 months and I've recently kind of started dating again, re-downloaded Tinder. And my question is, how and when do I tell men that swinging or sexual non-monogamy is something I am interested in?
Great question. So help me understand a little bit, and maybe the people listening, give a little bit more specifics on how this kind of started for you and why you like this kind of dating lifestyle.
Yeah. So I got out of a really traumatic relationship a couple of years ago, and I was just mental health in a really bad place. Okay. I was really down on myself. I didn't feel like I had any control over like my sexual autonomy. And I have friends who are married in the lifestyle or dating in the lifestyle, and they said, why don't you just come check it out? Because you'll feel a lot more in control of who you are, and they have clubs that you can go to. Mm-hmm. That's just all for swingers. So I went there and I really liked it. I liked the open aspect of it. I liked that everyone was communicative, and I really liked that there was the opportunity to sort of explore sexually the things that you want without feeling like you have to not be attached to another person emotionally.
Okay. And you dated someone in this kind of lifestyle, as you say?
Swinging.
Mm-hmm. I did, yeah, for about 9 months.
Okay. And as far as the relationship that you had in the swinging aspect, how did that, that was fine. It worked well. You guys, how did that, did that start when you were with him as a couple?
So we met within the lifestyle. And so when we first met, it was just very casual and it was just sex. And then we started hanging out more and more and things got serious, and we decided we actually cared about each other's well-being. And so we developed like that emotional relationship along with the swinging relationship we'd always had.
Interesting.
What's the difference between swinging and just dating in today's? I feel like people just sleep with a lot of people when they're dating.
Well, good question. What, Alex, do you want to answer Rochelle's question?
I think the difference is the communication aspect of it. When I meet people in the swinging community, I know that either the men are married or they're attached to another woman, or I know that this woman is attached to another man.
But you were single. There were no other people like you? Just single people floating around?
There definitely are. But it's a lot more common for women to be single than for men to be single in the lifestyle.
Mostly because I feel like the men aren't allowed at the parties single, right?
They are not.
Yeah.
They're not allowed?
My understanding.
They can go to the club, but only like until a certain time, and then they won't let single men in anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
like there's these exclusive parties that you like have to be approved to go.
Oh.
And like single
because
women.
so many men would want to come.
Yeah, I'd be like, I mean, that's my guess.
Well, what's the difference between swinging and polyamory?
So that's the big difference for me is polyamory is dating multiple people. So you'll have emotional connections and you'll date or be in relationships with multiple people.
You have like movie night with 3 different people in a week, right? You know? It's like, how many birthdays do I have to remember? Oh, that sounds exhausting. I'm with Alex on this one.
So then swinging's just sex.
What's the difference between swinging and like just having an open relationship? Like, you know, you're not necessarily, because like, correct me, the swinging lifestyle, as you say, it's like you're interacting with other people with similar sexual appetite, and you're going to these parties and there's some swapping going on, so to speak, from time to time, versus like an open relationship where you guys are open to the fact that you are sometimes sexually intimate with other people, but kind of always coming back to each other. Like, is there a difference there, or how does that work?
It's very similar. I think swinging really just has the added aspect of the community, whereas people in open relationships, everyone has their own rules. Every couple is different. But in the swinging community, there are websites and there are dating apps and there are clubs and parties and things within that lifestyle that I don't think necessarily comes with just an open relationship. Like you want that community of people. Interesting.
And so my guess is, correct me if I'm wrong, is that, I mean, because like the obvious answer is, well, find someone who's in that community and then you don't have to have that conversation. But also, since single men aren't usually allowed into these communities, it seems probably harder to find than you would think. Is that correct?
The pool is limited.
The pool is limited.
Yeah. So you basically have to recruit. Yeah. Have you had any experience? I mean, in terms of your current dating life, have you, I mean, before I like start like throwing out different ideas, have you tried this? Has this conversation come up? How has it gone? Or are you just like, you're asking before you even dip your toe in the water?
So I've tried a couple of different strategies, none to any great success. So I'm a very open, communicative, honest person. I like to be that way from the beginning. So I've tried kind of telling them up front. And their immediate reaction is, oh, great, you're really easy. So I don't have to actually talk to you or make you feel comfortable. You're going to sleep with me no matter what.
They just think you're a sexual freak.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I mean,
that's not what it is.
I can see how that could happen. Yeah.
And I've also sort of tried broaching it more slowly with men. So I have a date this Friday, and I was talking to the man, and we were talking about sex, and I made a comment about bringing toys into the bedroom, and he was like, oh, you're really kinky. I don't know about that. And I was kind of like, well, tip of the iceberg, my man.
But you haven't met him yet?
No.
Why are you talking about sex so quickly with these people? I mean, I understand you have a strong sexual appetite, tip of the iceberg, all these things, but you know, why are you still in such a rush to do that?
I think because I'm worried that I will not address it quickly, and I will I'll start to have feelings for someone only to have them not share like that same sense of sexual adventure, and then be disappointed down the road.
Are you open to the possibility of depending on who this person is, or if you meet someone and really liking someone, of giving up this lifestyle? I mean, is this like a non-starter for you in terms of like some people want kids, some people want to live in a certain city, you need to swing? Or is it kind of like you're open to it?
I think I'm definitely open to whatever with the right person. I think I'm not quite done exploring it right now.
Okay.
But I'm certain that down the road, I'm open to any other types of relationships. But I do want someone who's more sexually adventurous than just missionary every Thursday night.
I get it, right? So I guess my advice to you is try not to all figure it out at once. It's such a unique situation. As someone who's a woman and involved in this community, sounds like you can explore these kind of this kind of community and the type of sex that you want as a single woman. So like keep doing that while you're still looking for love. And again, just be honest with yourself about how important it is in your life. Are you open to it? Or are you open to giving it up at some point? Are you open to really liking a guy who is sexually adventurous and likes to push certain limits, but not open to that? Would you be willing to be in a monogamous relationship with that person? You'll have to decide for yourself. In the meantime, while you're dating, I think I don't think you need to be in a rush to figure out how flexible they are. And the thing about guys too is like we are kind of simple and dumb and easily triggered when it comes to sex. Like I've hung out with parties and girls, especially if I've interacted with people where anytime someone has like a kind of a sexual breakthrough, like maybe some girl tried a threesome for the first time, and then she gets a little drunk, she starts talking about it at a party. And any guy who's listening to this story is kind of like thinks, "Ooh, I wonder if I could have a threesome with her." Like we're men, and we hear a certain thing, whether we're into it or not, or we just find it exciting. It's going to kind of trigger us in a certain way. And it's going to be harder for you to really have the type of conversation that you really want to with them, especially for someone you don't have a rapport with. You haven't even met certain guys. And even if you had met a guy and you've been on a date or two, like get to know them. You can, if you really pay attention, you can figure out how open-minded they are as individuals. Listen, open-minded people tend to be more open-minded about lots of things, right? People who are closed off, people who tend to be more conservative and traditional are going to be conservative and traditional about all things, including their sexuality. So you can figure out early on people's personalities about how open-minded and adventurous they might be without figuring out about talking specifically about sex or sex toys or things like that, and then getting into the weeds of conversations with men where you're just going to kind of trigger the conversation, and they're going to you're going to feel like they're kind of obsessively talking about, the swinger life or whatever. And like, you're going to feel like, I feel like I'm not getting to know this guy because now he's kind of, he doesn't seem to be able to talk to me about this. You get what I'm saying? I assume that you probably have brought this up with men, and then as soon as you bring it up, the conversations just kind of get weird because they almost don't know how to ask these questions, or they're confused, or it's exciting, but they seem to be like as you said, thinking it's all about like, well, let's have sex right now. Let's get freaky right now. And you're thinking about, no, I want to get to know you as a person, and I want to see if I want to date you and maybe even fall in love with you. But also, by the way, I'm very non-traditional in the bedroom. And that is, harder for, I guess anyone, especially guys who aren't used to that, who've never thought about that, but maybe find it exciting. They've probably certainly watched some sort of porn, where it has that, and all of a sudden they meet some girl in real life who's into that, and their mind just goes into all sorts of places. So I think, you'd need to not be in a rush to do that, if that makes sense. The fear you have about, I don't know if, you have a non-traditional desire in a relationship, and with that comes, I guess, some risk, and if it's going to be non-traditional, just by definition, it's going to be slightly harder to find, or maybe very harder to find, and that's something you have to accept, right? Like, that's something you have to say, well, if I definitely want to meet a guy who is into this lifestyle, you have to just accept the fact that it's going to be a more challenging thing. You know, if you have a very specific requirement for your partner. But after you come to that realization, don't make it even harder on yourself by then forcing it or becoming, by overcompensating and projecting it. You just accept that this is what you want and just say, all right, well, when it gets to the appropriate time, then it will come up and you'll sense that. But I would wait longer than I would wait longer than you think, rather than bring it up sooner than you think you should, so to speak. And this fear you have about like, well, what if I like a guy and then, you know, he's not into it? Well, again, that's when you get to the point of, again, let's assume, play it out, right? You meet a guy, you don't talk about the sex thing, you don't talk about the swinger thing, but you get to know him, you have conversations, and through conversations, you get a sense that he's pretty open-minded. You get a sense that he's pretty progressive. You get a sense that he's a bit of a risk taker in other aspects of his life. So you begin to slowly think, this might be into it. And like, you can kind of feel him out. You can throw out things. You can ask about certain, maybe on the third and fourth date, you start talking about sex, but I would still keep it reserved. I wouldn't bring it out there, but find out about him and see if this is the type of person who might be into that. Right. And then you eventually, I don't know, you're like hanging out and you bring it up and he responds in a way where it's kind of like, I don't know, I really like you, it's cool, but he's just like kind of on the fence, but he's like, listen, I don't know if I could ever be into that, maybe, but I don't really know. Then you get to that point where you have to make a decision. Do I like this person enough where, maybe he would be enough? And if he's ever open to it down the line, then we explore that. But, you just have to decide if it's a non-starter or not. And then from that point, if it's not a non-starter and you are open to not having it, then kind of do it gradually, slowly. Feel it out.
Talking about toys in the bedroom before you even meet
someone is a little like, you're just going to trigger guys. You are going to think, that whole stereotype of like, girl goes out, she dresses sexy, and guys like, oh, she must be easy, and like, why are you judging me? It's just like, yes, listen, women have the right to go out and dress however they want without being judged, but doesn't mean I think you're promiscuous. But like, guys are gonna like see, certain things, and just they're gonna have sex on their mind. They just are, right? And if you talk about sex toys and you talk about swinger parties, they're gonna turn one tracked. It's gonna be harder for you to like talk about other things and communicate in a way you want. And it's going to be very distracting. So yeah, don't bring it up. And you should be able to find out if a guy's vanilla, regardless. Vanilla people in life tend to be vanilla in bed, wouldn't you agree? I mean,
I don't know. I think I'm vanilla in life.
What about you thinks you are vanilla in life?
What about me?
I'm not, you don't have to be like a 24/7 freak about things to be sexually adventurous. I mean, you live in LA, you have a very non-traditional life. You're in the entertainment business. You're doing all these things. To me, that sounds like someone who is outgoing.
Is good in bed.
No, I'm just saying adventurous. Like, you're not someone who like stayed in a very,
you're saying. I see what you're saying.
You didn't get married at 23 and stay in your little community and go to your, like.
I see what you're saying.
So that's what I'm saying. You don't like. There's no T-shirt or obvious like. Well, that person's a freak. Like, normal people have can be non-traditional. You won't. It's not like you can walk down the street and walk into a bar and be like, oh, that person's a swinger. That person's a swinger. But kind of to that point is like, if they're trying different things, they're non-traditional, and they ask questions and they're curious about life, they might be open-minded. And so like, find those people, find open-minded people, find adventurous people, find those types of people, and figure out if they're that first, and then worry about whether they're into swinging down the line. And then you might get lucky. They might bring it up too. You never know. But don't force it on a dating app, or in DMs or text messages or on a first or second date.
Right.
I would hold that back. I'd be guarded. Even those little lines are like, oh, tip of the iceberg, buddy. Like, you're just going to really throw guys off. And they're going to want to only talk about sex.
Do you ever think like that?
Oh, I didn't say that to him, but just in my mind.
In her mind.
Oh, you didn't say it? Okay. Yeah.
I didn't say that to him.
Gotcha.
Do you ever?
Oh, LOL. Sounds great.
Do you ever feel like that traumatic, relationship you had is like in some way keeping you from experiencing complete intimacy with someone? Like you're almost using the swinger lifestyle as a boundary so you don't have to get too emotionally attached?
I go to therapy. I love therapy.
Yeah.
I talk to my therapist about that. I think that I can use it that way as a way to sort of detach. I think that, like in my last relationship,
right,
and I believe in the future, like I have the ability to have, to have emotional connection that I desire, as well as like the sexual lifestyle that I enjoy.
That's what an interesting life trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have friends who dabble in that world. I mean, it's different. It's just very non-traditional.
Usually it's couples though that are like, okay, let's do it. Swinging.
Sure, but I think it usually starts with one or both people kind of have this open mind as a couple. The few people I know who have dabbled in that world, they both had independently the desire to have that type of relationship. I feel like that's, again, not being a part of that world, that's where it's most successful.
Yeah.
The stories where, again, what you don't want to do, Alex, is have to convince a guy to try it. And he's like, yeah, I want to be cool. And that sounds hot. And then he like watches you have sex with another guy. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, this is over. You can't convince people to be into something and finding they really have to be comfortable in their skin. So if you want this alternative lifestyle, you have to accept that it is non-traditional and then not try to force it and not try to, you have to accept the fact that it's going to create some challenges, but definitely don't try to force it, and then decide whether you are open to, how much do you need to have in your life and how much are you just kind of, is your non-negotiable, I just want someone who's sexually adventurous at some capacity, or I definitely need to have a swinger type of boyfriend or husband, and then go from there.
No, so, I think I've been too anxious to figure it out right away. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely, you're putting all this pressure. It's just like, and it makes sense. You dated someone, you had it, and that relationship ended. So like you want to try that again, and it's just like this is a new area in your life where it kind of happened organically last time, and now it's easier to find. Now you're like you really hope to find it again, so you're forcing it way too much. So just let it play out. You can have and again in the meantime, while you are single, like. Do your thing and have some fun. And then you might meet someone in that setting. And then the other setting, in a more traditional dating setting, just keep it pretty traditional for now. And you can still, like I said, learn about how progressive and non-traditional people are. Look for risk takers to a certain degree. Look for adventurous people. Look for open-minded people. See how judgy they are about other things in your life, you will it's easy to pick up on those things pretty quickly before without talking about sex. All right,
hit the nail on the head. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
I have some friends who have dabbled in it. It's interesting. It definitely seems like, if you're the single guy, you're not welcomed.
That's so funny to me. I had no idea.
It makes so much sense. It's
They don't want any horn dogs and chicken coop.
And a bunch of dudes. Yeah, kind of fucking up.
Men ruin everything.
Rotation. Keep that ratio in a certain way. I feel like. I don't have a lot of experience with this. There's a fine line between, I think, finding something like exciting. Yeah. To hear about that. I've had, when my friends have told me their stories, I ask a lot of questions. There are parts of it where it's just like, I get why get why it's hot. I get why it's sexy.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that thinks, I wonder if I could be able to do that. It would be cool to do that. I don't know if I want to do that.
You're not allowed.
There's all these things, so it's a spectrum of what you're open to. And so, we are becoming more and more non-traditional, but, I think that also too, like guys are more triggered sexually through sexual conversation.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, the girl who had a party who's mentioned she's had a threesome, every fucking guy in the room is turning their head, and all of a sudden it's like they just see threesome girl.
Right.
And then anytime if a guy goes on a date with her, she's gonna get a lot of guys be like, hey, so you want to have a threesome? Like, that's can be like that. They can be very simple, so like don't get an idea in their head whether they're into it or not, because they're going to become one track mind and hard to communicate with. You really you need to like kind of establish a foundation with someone. Everyone doesn't need to know what your sexual appetite is early on. All right, how can we help?
Hi, I'm Shay. I'm 25. I guess it's like really short version of this. I met my now fiance 2 weeks before he deployed for 7 months. So we had just like a crazy whirlwind romance, I guess. Like, I didn't want to take on a deployment, but I decided to. We obviously stayed together through the whole thing. He came home. We moved in together. And then obviously had a couple months together, and then I got pregnant, and then we got engaged, and then it's just been moving. We've moved every year since we've been together. Our son's almost 2 now. Just a lot of life has happened, which is great. And I kind of I love the whirlwind aspect of our romance. But then with that also comes there's been a lot of real life stuff that's happened. And I think that's gotten in the way of just we didn't get a whole lot of physical time together ever. We had the 7-month deployment, but obviously we weren't talking much, and it's just a lot. And so I think sometimes I wish we had more time to work on our love. And so now it's just hard because there's a lot of real life stuff happening, and obviously we're supposed to get married, but we've been engaged for 2 years now, and sometimes I feel I don't know if we're even going to make it to that point, because it goes up and down. Obviously we still love each other. I want our family together, but I have a lot of times where I just don't feel appreciated, or I don't feel my love language is being spoken. And so I just don't know. I know life is hard for everybody, and I don't want to say I don't know what's normal, because I don't think there really is a normal, but I don't know, what's the balance? How much struggle do you take to offset, the good times? Are they 50-50? Is one supposed to be more than the other? I have no idea. So that's kind of my question.
I mean, there is no specific answer, and it is a balance. And over time, that kind of up and down and that power shift typically changes, right? Yeah, I mean, I think your situation is probably very relatable for a lot of people, regardless if there's a deployment involved or a pregnancy. I think oftentimes relationships, especially early on in our lives, if we fall in love, they tend to go 100 miles per hour right off the bat, and there's that excitement, and there's just kind of throwing caution to the wind mentality. And in any relationship, regardless of, again, the deployment or a pregnancy or whatever, is things tend to slow down and settle into their kind of normal pace. And then there's this kind of anxiety or angst about why does it feel different? Well, kind of you were going 100 miles per hour, and now you're kind of going at a cool and steady 45, and so you kind of feel that angst. My first question to you is, when you said have you ever express these things to him? Literally the same thing you've said to us is I feel like we've done X, Y, and Z, and it was all great, but I feel maybe, well, this is how I feel now. Have you ever had that conversation with him?
Yeah. So only our close family and friends know this, but we split up this was not even, maybe a month ago. I took my ring off. I was I can't do this anymore. Okay. Just because I just felt I was pouring from an empty cup. I was just giving and giving, and not I blame him, but he was just so distracted with life and work and our son, as he should be. But I would just felt the bottom priority all the time. And that.
What do you mean as he should be? And what do you mean okay, yeah, you guys have a son, great, but you can have kids and still make each other a priority, and you can have a job and make, like, you keep mentioning life as if like that's this great excuse for him to not do what you need. But
kind of my issue, because I like want him, like I tell him like I'm stressed too, but I still plan dates for you. I still put you, like, in my eyes, you're still first, and like I don't feel like I'm first to you.
What does he say to that?
He just kind of agreed. Like, he's like, I've been distracted. Like, I've been really stressed out. I don't handle my stress well. Like, you do deserve to feel loved. And that's the problem, though. I feel like a lot of people can relate to this in the sense that you have this conversation, they're aware of it, and then like 2 weeks, it's great. And then it just slowly starts to sink back into like the normal of, I don't feel loved again. And so I just feel like it was a roller coaster, and I'm like, I don't know if this is how it's supposed to be, because it's so effortless for me to show him my love. But when I don't feel like I'm getting love, then I start to pull back, and then that makes him pull back, and then it's just this weird like tug of war thing.
Yeah. I mean, so wait, are you guys still together? Are you separated? What's your current relationship status?
Well, there's just so much, we've just gone through so much stuff. So like in the beginning of our relationship, I was really sick. I had to have surgery. He was like, we're in and out of the hospital, and I still have like some health issues going on. I'm getting treatments like weekly. So he's been through a lot with me there. And so I just kind of felt like now it's sort of his turn. He's going through stuff, and he has a lot of like things going on that he's trying to work through. And now I feel like it's like my turn, because when I was going through that stuff, I was not easy to be with, and I wasn't nice. I was very selfish, because all I could think about was like, look what I'm going through. And so now I just feel like love is unconditional, and like I just feel like I should be there for him through this, just like he was for me. Like, even though he's not showing me he loves me all the time, like I wasn't really doing that for him then. So I feel like now it's my turn in a way, but I also don't know.
No, I get it. I mean, listen, it's a balance. I don't have a right answer for you. The truth is, yes, any long-term committed relationship, there are going to be times where you are giving more than you're getting. There's sacrifices. There's times where you need to be the selfless one. And sometimes, and we've talked about in other episodes, like sometimes it's okay to be the selfish person in a relationship. Any relationship is going to work over time. It's that it's not always going to be constantly one-sided. It does change, right? So what you're describing is, I've had a hard time, and I admit that I was selfish at one point. He was there for me, and now it's his time. That seems very normal and manageable, and that nothing about that doesn't sound like a potentially great relationship. That doesn't mean, then there's other variables. What it comes down to is, deep down, some of these, and I'm not saying they're excuses, but like, I understand these happen and these are serious things potentially. You don't have to get into the details of it, but like, ultimately, like, we have a kid together. He went off to deployment, and God only knows what he had to endure there, and your health stuff. You just have to figure at the end of the day, deep down, do you guys, again, love each other and want to make it work? People always say, well, of course we love each other. I don't mean to discredit that, but I don't know, maybe of course we don't know that, it seems like that's what you're really struggling with. And my guess is if you deep down felt like if you truly felt loved by him, then you would be like, I do know he loves me, and he's just going through this period. And I think maybe it's okay for you to admit to yourself that deep down, you don't really know if you two truly love each other like you always have, or certainly like you did when you first met, or before you had a kid, et cetera, et cetera. And having that honest conversation with yourself and with each other about where that love is. Because if you do truly deep down love each other and willing to do that, these things that you guys are going through as a couple are manageable, and you will get through it, because it's like, listen, babe, I love you. Like, I'm going to be there for you. We're going to get through this because I love you, and I know that we can be there. And I know right now you're going through some shit, but like, so lean on me, and then vice versa. He's done that before. But that's not what's going on here. I think you're truly questioning the foundation of your relationship. And that might be because you don't necessarily have a foundation.
Yeah.
In the sense that you dated for a couple weeks, he went off, and your foundation was you have one, but it's very different than what you kind of always imagined. And you got so used to, being in a relationship and calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend, but like so much of your relationship was, I can only guess, when he was deployed for how many years? 2 years?
7 months.
7 months. Okay. Still a long time. So that's 7 months. He's, again, has his community of people and the people he truly needs to count on to survive in an atmosphere like that. And then you have your friends, and yeah, you guys talk and write letters and communicate and FaceTime, but like you kind of built these separate foundations. I mean, do you really have a foundation where you really have each other? And I think that's what you need to figure out. And I think you need to have an honest conversation with each other. This idea where you express how you feel, again, discounting whatever he's going through, to a certain, it's great that he acknowledges it. Yeah, you're right. You deserve better. Yeah, I know I haven't, but the excuses aren't necessarily okay. And not over the long time. Again, like, I don't know what he's going through. And so you'll have to assess whether, like, how much is this, like, listen, he needs me to be there for him and we'll address this later, versus you're just avoiding the inevitable. Are you avoiding, like, the fact that, like, we don't really love each other and he's never really going to do what I want to do? You talked about love languages. I mean, that matters. Like, if he's not ever willing to do something about it, that's not okay. If he's like, yeah, you're right, I don't love you the way you deserve to be treated, and then he just kind of stops there, and then
sad.
That's not going to change. If it's, right, babe, you're right. I'm really struggling right now, and I have these things going on, and I want to be honest with you. I feel like I'm not in a place to do that, but I know I can be, and I really want to be, and let's figure out a way to do this. Like, there is that balance too. Do you guys, are you guys willing to see therapy? Are you willing to take some time? Like, he can't just keep saying, I'm sorry. Apologizing with no, like, results isn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
That's like how I feel. I guess, like, I've heard him say the things that you just said, like, in those words, like, really speaking to me in, like, a calm way and, like, showing that he gets what I'm saying. And then he'll say things like, okay, like, now I want to work on being better. But for me, I just kind of, like, so you say that,
mm-hmm.
but then it's like in our day-to-day lives, like, I don't know if he necessarily knows how to show he's being better. Like, obviously you can buy me flowers, you can take me on a date. Those are obvious things, but it's like, I'm talking about, like, our everyday lives,
mm-hmm.
just making me feel loved. And I feel like that's where he kind of gets confused. Because even sometimes when he's rushed and he's stressed and he comes off, like, mean or short to me, it's like those things that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what I don't like. And, like, he'll be like, oh, okay, like, I didn't realize I was coming off that way. And I'm like, is it, like, I just feel like we're on just two different.
I mean, let me ask you a question. I don't know if you can answer it right now, but if you didn't have a kid together and you didn't get engaged, do you feel like you'd be together?
I don't know, because I don't know even if we'd be, like, in this.
I think you should think about that for a while before answering it quickly. And I'm not saying you can answer it now, but I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know might mean no. I don't know. It's a scary question to answer. I think you should really think about that. And because you guys are, I mean, listen, you have a kid together, that's a big deal. And I understand the desire to have a family, especially with the father of your child. And that's great. And it's great if you can have that. It's also not necessarily something either of you should force at the risk of, like, the perfect, looking relationship, or, you're both still young. You're 25, if my brother knocked up his high school sweetheart at 22, and then he just like, well, I guess I should marry her. And then they got married, and then they quickly had a second child. They could not have been more different people, and then they finally realized that, and he was 24, 25. And it was really, truly a blessing in the sense that, like, thankfully, like, they were both, like, cool, and they were, like, the divorce was really seamless, and they both, like, cared about each other. They just were like, we just are different mm-hmm. people, and they're great co-parents, and they're both, like, she is now pregnant with, I don't know if it's her husband or fiance, and my brother Jacob has a great girlfriend, and everything seems great and wonderful. And they both, and his new girlfriend is very much like, I mean, my brother's weird and different in a lovely way. And she's very different like him and very much. And had they just forced it and stayed together just because they had 2 kids together and they got married, they would have both been miserable at this point. Now, I'm not saying that's your situation here. I'm just simply saying I can appreciate the challenges of how do I remove myself from all these promises we made to each other and ourselves. We have this kid together. And so I think you just need to really figure out, is this a relationship that I want to be in, regardless of what's led up to this point? You can still be a great mom. He can still be a great dad. You can still be great parents to your son and not be together. That is an option. Or you can make this work. But right now, I think you're not really answering these questions to yourself. And it's kind of like this Band-Aid thing. You're not really cleaning the scab, so to speak. You just keep putting Band-Aids on it and it seems to be fine and you're kind of getting through it, but you're not really assessing what's going on, you know? You haven't really diagnosed the problems.
It's still infected under
there. Right?
The Band-Aid analogy.
That's what's really going on. And so I think it starts with you, you know? Figure out what you think you want first. You know, we've had these kind of before. It's like sometimes we get confused about what we want, and then we want our partners to figure it out. You know, like, well, I'm not happy, so I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and he seems to be struggling with that, and then it validates your frustrations, but you may not be sure what you want. You know, deep down, is he just not willing to give you what you really want? You know, and so start answering those questions first, because I feel like maybe you're counting on him to figure it out and solve your problems that you have in the relationship. But my guess is you have some confusion about the relationship to begin with.
Mm. She's smiling.
Yeah. Because I heard you go,
Yeah. That would.
I think I just feel like because when our relationship started, like when he was deployed, because he was gone, he had to put 10 times the amount of effort in to like make me feel important. And like, even though we couldn't talk every day, like he sent me a pizza from I don't even know where, like, just like, because I said I was hungry. Like, it was just like things like that. Like, it was just above and beyond. And then when he got back, we hadn't seen each other in so long. It was the same thing. It was just, I felt like I was the most important thing. And then just like, I feel like all this life happened. And like, where did that guy go? Like, I still am obsessed with him. I still love him. And I try to show him as much as I can, but I can only do so much when I feel like I'm not getting anything back. Like, if I get it back, you'll get it back. Like, that's how it works for me.
Sure, but it's just like, might not be how it works for him, right? Like, he's not meeting your love language, but are you meeting his? I mean, this idea that you're like, he was deployed, like, listen, you have to be realistic. Like, yeah, like understand that when someone's like deployed across the country or you're not seeing each other, you have a long distance relationship. Long distance relationships are hard, but they also bring in a lot of excitement, and you constantly have the benefit of missing someone and longing for them and pining for them. And that makes it easier to want to do these crazy romantic things, because like you can't do what other normal couples are doing, or just like take a walk together, right? And that creates this kind of excitement. Like, it's not sustainable, quite honestly, the expectations you set. I mean, is it reasonable that once in a while in a committed relationship, when you're not deployed, to have this grand gesture that he does? Sure, like once in a while, but like he's not going to be doing this every other week or every other day or whatever. I don't know if that's
the way he would. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. You don't really know if he's ever been good or wanting to do that, because he was gone, right? And so like before, you were like, well, he's deployed, so you know it's unreasonable for me to have this expectation. But now you're like, he's here, and I just want you to talk to me, you know? And quite honestly, you never really knew if that was a reasonable expectation for him, because you just accepted that he was deployed. You know, you kind of created this relationship with him under completely different circumstances, and then define these rules of your relationship based off of a very different relationship. And then then you like became in a more traditional relationship with different rules. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you were playing on one, it's like you were playing a game on a ice hockey rink,
Yeah.
like with skates. And then now you have to play the same game on a basketball court. And you're like, it doesn't really fit. It doesn't work. You have the same expectations to play hockey on this slippery ice
So many
without
analogies
skates,
for this call.
So I feel like that's kind of what's going on. But figure out like what is, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes when we like, I want you bring up the pizza analogy. Is that what's really going to make you happy? I don't know. And I know you just want him to talk to you and stuff, but you can't force him to do it, right? He's going to want to do it. And, you can't be in love with the idea of him. You can't be, it's like if we walk down the street and be like, oh, well, that's, we had a different color. You can't you can't put together your perfect person. And you got to figure out the person you're with today, the man that is back and he's not deployed, is he the person you want? Is he capable of meeting your love languages? Are you both willing to understand each other's love languages and do your part? Because right now it seems like you're both saying, this is my love language. I need you to address it, and I don't know if both of you are going out of your way to meet each other's love languages. I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely, I try and meet his. It's just like I said, I feel like I always use a cup analogy. Like, if you can pour into my cup, I'll pour into yours. And for a while, I felt like I was just pouring from an empty cup, just giving love without getting it. And I just was like, well, I'm sacrificing that for this relationship. And I was just waiting to get some back. And it's like, okay, I get you're busy, but just give me a hug. Just something really quick. I don't need crazy things all the time. I just want.
When you get mad at him, how do you handle that? Like, are you ever mean?
I would say the worst that I do, I'm like a cusser when I'm mad. But I don't try and direct it at him. I don't say F you. I'll just say it as I'm talking, and I get kind of intense. But it's more, I feel like he doesn't always fight fairly with me. He'll throw a lot of low blows and hit below the belt.
Uh-huh.
And it's very that's hard to deal with. And then he'll pause, take some time to himself, come back and be like, okay, shouldn't have said those things to you. And it's thank you. We're going to fight, things are going to happen. I just want kindness. I think at the end of the day, I just want to talk nice to me. And even when we're fighting, don't say things you don't mean.
Well, I mean, listen, I think you guys probably you guys need to if you want to be in this relationship, you guys have to figure out how to communicate with each other. And maybe you need to talk to a couples therapist to do that. If he's not willing to do that, that's something you should pay attention to. If he is willing to do that, then great. That's a great place to start, because what you're describing is we don't communicate effectively and we don't fight in the way I want, and he doesn't express feelings. You're just not communicating on any level in a way that you want. You're in a relationship that you're trying to now, I'm in this relationship and now I'm trying to create the relationship I want, but you're doing it on your own, and that's hard to do. So you need him to want to do his part, and you need to talk to a professional. You need to figure out how to communicate. You can't do it on your own. You can't coach him up. It'll only make him frustrated and feel like you're nagging and push him away. And I mean, he can keep acknowledging it all he wants, but he needs to do something about it. And he might not have the answers, but again, a couple therapist might. So if you simply say, listen, we're struggling, I want us to be happy, let's just go talk to someone. He should say yes. And if he says no, that's a big red flag. You can only do so much. So it's good that you're fighting. It's good that you're trying to make it work, but be honest with yourself about, is this a relationship that you guys can really save? And you're not married, and maybe that's a blessing at this point, because it doesn't sound like you're two people who are ready to get married.
Yeah.
So don't be discouraged by that. Be thankful and try to figure it out. I think the fact that you are engaged and you haven't been married yet, you should completely throw that away, right? That's like an unnecessary pressure of trying to meet an expectations just because you've been engaged for 2 years, but you're not in any position to get married to each other right now. And that's okay. And you should be thankful that now you have the freedom and time to figure out whether you guys really do, because you're both still very young and there's a potential great life with each other and a potential better life without each other in a romantic relationship.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
But accepting that, I think, is a good place to start, because I feel like you're right now just kind of forcing it, you know, and you need to change how you're addressing the problems. All right.
Thank you.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Those deployment situations are rough.
Yeah, they are. But also, like, you know, I think a lot of couples face this without a deployment situation.
Long distance.
Oh, anything. Like anytime you meet someone and you fast track, you're going 100 miles per hour, or maybe there's an early pregnancy, or
right.
maybe you decide to move in. Like it could be something as like this is fast, but sometimes couples will be dating for 3 or 4 months and their leases are both up.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, let's move in. We're in love. It's in
or even like, I'm thinking Demi and Christian like got engaged, you know, like
sure,
on Bachelor Paradise.
Minus the TV aspect.
Yes,
but like in a more relatable situation.
Right.
This is like heavier because of the deployment and the kid, or, you know, whatever. But I think a lot of couples that honeymoon phase, it's like that readjusting, and then you're together. And then you kind of, once things fizzle out, like, why are we together? You know? And a lot of couples, you know, we'll be together for so long.
Yeah.
We live together. Maybe we have a kid together. Maybe we are engaged. People are staying in these relationships for all these other reasons other than they're compatible.
And I mentioned to you, she sent like her Instagram link, and it's all like this gorgeous, beautiful family. They're beautiful. You know what I mean? So you become attached to even just
the idea of things.
Yeah, the idea.
I mean, that's normal. And again, there is that balance between fighting for the relationship versus, you know, quitting, so to speak. But there again, there is a reason they're not married. And sometimes we've been together for so long and we've been engaged, and the fixation just becomes on getting married. And that's the wrong thing you can do, because that won't solve the problems. You know.
Agreed. Well, I have an email that I wanted to read that she wasn't willing to come on because she was too sensitive about it. Is that okay? All right. So she said, I'm 33 years old. I'm overweight, could lose 30 pounds, and I've never had a boyfriend. I've had sex. I've been on dates, but never make it past date 2. I have made up boyfriends to people to seem normal, which is sad. I have exaggerated relationships as well. So 2 dates, and I said I was dating him for a month. I've done that. Online dating hasn't worked. I think it's because I'm overweight. Any advice? How does a nice overweight girl meet a good guy? I'm trying to lose weight as well.
Well, I mean, the overweight, I mean, obviously we've talked about body issues before, body image issues. I can imagine that can be challenging, but it's got to start within in terms of accepting yourself.
Yeah.
And until you do that, like, you're always just going to judge yourself, and then you start getting into this projecting your insecurities. There's plenty of people out there, men and women, who don't have the quote unquote ideal body size or ideal, like, and they're incredibly confident, and they go out, and confidence more than anything is the most attractive quality people can have.
Yeah.
And you see men and women with like what seems to be a successful dating streak, or always with someone, because they kind of ooze that confidence.
Yeah.
And so, you know, even in the letter, like, she's decided it's her weight.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, there might be guys who aren't into how she looks, and there might be guys who are into.
Right.
There's someone for everyone in terms of someone physically attracted to you. That is for certain. So if she's attracted, like, there are plenty of guys who find her attractive.
Right.
Is it the same guy she finds attractive? I don't know, but we all deal with that.
Right.
So, like, she's someone who's overweight isn't any less fortunate than feeling like they're always attracted to people who aren't attracted to them. Everyone feels that way.
Yeah.
Like, literally everyone.
Yeah.
The lying part is a slippery slope. You do
Lying.
that?
Well, no, sometimes like to me, a relationship will be like people will be like, you only dated for 3 months. And I was like, but it felt like a big deal to me. I don't know. Like to me, because I don't date as long as other
I'm
people.
confused. It can feel like a big deal about it, and then you'd be like honest about the timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I've lied about the timeline, but people are always like, well, how long did you guys even date? I'm like, 3 months. And I'm like, okay, get over it.
That's fine. I mean, listen, if you dated for someone for 3 months or 3 days and you're a little hurt about it,
right?
You have the right to be hurt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like 6 months later and you're still like bitching about it, that's a little weird. But sometimes we hold on to things.
Yeah.
I mean, always say, like, when we are getting over someone or something and people have a hard time getting over it, it's a part of it is like holding on to that feeling, that attachment to the feeling of having connection.
Yeah.
You know, there's always like when you break up with someone, right?
Yeah.
And you are heartbroken and you're truly heartbroken. You don't want to feel heartbroken. You're like, oh, I wish I could get over it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a period, especially if it was a hard breakup and getting over it really means letting him go. Because there's first losing them in your life, and then there's the missing them, but you feel still attached to that feeling.
Yes.
You're still thinking about them every day.
Yes.
And even though you have them in your life, it's a weird fucked up connection you have by the pining over them and missing them.
Yeah.
And then saying goodbye to that is people will hold on to it longer than they actually really want to. They said they want to get over it, but they don't deep down because they're still holding onto that connection with the person they have. And so, you know, maybe that's why you were doing it or why people do that.
Yeah.
As far as like lying about having a boyfriend, there's nothing wrong with being single.
Exactly.
It's super fucking weird if you get caught in a lie about that stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, if you get caught in a lie about embellishing, like, oh yeah, he's my boyfriend, and the guys, and it gets out that it's like, we went on one date, you know?
Yeah.
I would have, if I heard that about a girl, that's a huge red flag. I would stay away. That makes me very uncomfortable about like how honest they are about our relationship.
Right.
About like the things that go down in our relationship.
Right.
If someone's willing to like lie about that, and I from her, it comes from a place of insecurity. And
you know, like you were saying, she's not accepting the weight she's at. She's also not accepting her relationship status. So they're very much the same.
It becomes this great delusion. Yeah. And it's a very slippery slope of
slippery slope, your favorite.
It is. I mean, you can picture a scenario in which like she's used to these little white lies from time to time, and then it kind of compounds. Yeah. And it almost reminds you of kind of that thriller movie where she's like, I don't know. Did you ever see that movie, Wicker Park with Josh Hartnett? And it was like this Hartnett or whatever.
Forever ago. I don't remember it.
And it was basically this kind of crazy white female.
Yeah, it was a little swim fan. Did you see that?
And no. Yeah. And the girl was kind of like, it just kind of started with a small lie. And then kind of, you know, granted it's a movie, but that can happen. Yeah. And then you're going to really, the lying part is to me the biggest red flag. Yeah. Minus the, like, and it does come from acceptance first of like, you know, try to lose weight. Fine. But like, you know, shit. Some guys are into that. Yeah. You know, and maybe you're not, but like you're describing yourself as like this.
Well, I wonder, like, this is something I struggle with, is thinking like, once I'm good enough, then I'll find someone, or then I'll be.
Yeah. Then it sounds like that's what's going on.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Sometimes is like when you get to a certain thing, then you'll deserve to find someone.
When is that
point? I know, I don't think that's ever gonna. Yeah, it's like
what do you?
Some other side of the rainbow.
What do you? I've known you for 9 months.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's been some growth and development. You look.
You're like, you're the same,
but you're pretty much the same person, as you should be. You know. Yeah. And if in January you were like, nope, and by September I'm going to be fucking ready to go. Yeah. You're ultimately who you are. Yeah. And you can, if it's weight, if getting in shape, if it's understanding that you have certain tendencies and communicating that you want to work on, you can do that. You know, you can become more in shape emotionally and things like that, or physically. And these are things we can all continue to work on. But there's never a time where you're going to be ready or not ready.
Yeah.
And sometimes we probably do that just to like, well, I'm not ready. Also, I can't find anyone. And also that's okay too. But like you, I mean, I'm curious because when we talk a lot, there are times where you describe, I can't find anyone kind of situation. And then there are times even on this call where you're like, well, actually there's a lot of guys who want to date me. I just don't want to date them. And I think sometimes we forget about when we're feeling like we can't find anyone, we dismiss all the people who actually do want to date us.
Right.
And not that you don't want to date them, so you are so alone, but instead of like self-pity and start feeling down on yourself like you're not good enough, just again, you just haven't found that person. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Another fun episode. What did we learn today?
We learned about swingers. We got more information than we had at the beginning.
We had more information than we had at the beginning.
We had some questions we got answered.
Yeah. Also, what else did we talk about? I forget.
We talked about not leading with sex if you're looking for a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, sex is a big part of a relationship, but you don't have to lead with it.
Yeah.
Even if you are a sexual person.
Yeah.
It'll find itself out. People are always interested in sex. That's that's low-hanging fruit in the what are you into conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
We talked about not second guessing friends in our lives that would be great partners, but we're just not feeling it.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, stop protecting temporary relationships.
Yes. So many people who call in do that. They're so afraid of losing.
I don't want to. We have something so special that you don't want to date them.
Oh.
Also, I don't conveniently hang out with him when I have a guy in my life, and I don't really miss him that much. But when he leaves, I really miss him. Like, well, sounds like someone who's really good at helping you pass the time.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And we should have all those, and that's normal to have.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be realistic about it.
Yeah.
You know, like you can sometimes sit down with a friend and be like, this won't be forever.
Yeah.
You know, and you are gonna, like, relationships are, they fill needs at various points of our lives.
Yeah.
So. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Another fun episode. Don't forget to send in your questions. asknick@castmedia.com. And we will see you next time this Wednesday coming up. I don't know when we're going to air this episode, so I'm not going to tell you who our guest is. But it's always fun. Thanks for listening. Appreciate your reviews, and hope you enjoy the rest of your week.